Chapter 41, Pharaoh's Dream. 2 full years passed. Joseph remained in prison, forgotten by the chief cupbearer. One night, Pharaoh, the great king of Egypt, had 2 very strange dreams. In the first dream, he was standing by the Nile River when 7 fat, healthy cows came out of the water and began to graze. A moment later, 7 other cows came out of the river, but these were scrawny, thin, and ugly. The 7 thin cows ate up the 7 fat cows, but they remained just as skinny as before. Then Pharaoh woke up. He fell asleep again and had a second dream. This time, he saw 7 heads of grain, healthy and plump, growing on a single stalk. Then, 7 other heads of grain sprouted, but they were thin and scorched by the east wind. The 7 thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 plump heads. In the morning, Pharaoh was deeply troubled. He sent for all the wise men and magicians of Egypt, but no one could tell him what his dreams meant. Suddenly, the chief cupbearer gasped. "Today I remember my failings," he said to Pharaoh. "When I was in prison with the chief baker, we each had a dream, and a young Hebrew man, a servant of the captain of the guard, told us what they meant, and everything happened exactly as he said it would." So Pharaoh sent for Joseph immediately. They rushed him out of the dungeon, and he shaved and changed his clothes before being brought to the king. "I had a dream," Pharaoh said, "and no one can interpret it. But I have heard that you can understand dreams." "I cannot do it," Joseph replied humbly, "but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires." After Pharaoh described his dreams, Joseph explained, "The 2 dreams are one and the same. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows and the 7 good heads of grain are 7 years of great abundance throughout the land of Egypt. The 7 thin cows and the 7 thin heads of grain are 7 years of terrible famine that will follow. The famine will be so severe that the good years will be completely forgotten." Joseph then gave the king some advice. Pharaoh should look for a wise and discerning man and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Let him collect 1/5 of the harvest during the 7 good years and store it up. This food will be a reserve for the 7 years of famine, so that the country will not be destroyed. The plan seemed brilliant to Pharaoh and all his officials. "Can we find anyone like this man?" Pharaoh said, "one in whom is the Spirit of God?" So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. Only I on the throne will be greater than you." Pharaoh took off his signet ring and put it on Joseph's finger. He dressed him in fine linen robes and put a gold chain around his neck. Joseph was given a new Egyptian name and a wife, and he became the 2nd most powerful man in all of Egypt. The 7 years of plenty came, and Joseph gathered so much grain it was like the sand of the sea. Then, just as he had predicted, the 7 years of famine began. The famine was severe in all the lands, but in Egypt there was food, because Joseph had wisely stored it away.